So this week's first review is Elliot de Bodard, The Fireheart Tiger. This is a novella from Tor, and it is one of the nominations for Best Novella last year for the Hugos. It is a story about a woman who, when she was younger, she went to another kingdom to be a diplomatic prisoner of sorts so that the country wouldn't invade her country. And while she was there, the palace burned down. Also, while she was there, she had a fling with the princess of that kingdom. That kingdom is like a snow kingdom, a lot of white people, where our main character here, Thawne, is from a southern kingdom that is very hot, and she has dark skin. Some years later now, she is back home living with her mother, but her kingdom is having a hard time. The kingdom that she was in prior is starting to expand and possibly wanting to invade into her own kingdom. And her long-lost love that she had a love affair with comes to court to try to seduce her. This is a story about a woman learning her own agency and standing up for herself, while also learning who actually really loves and trusts her. I enjoyed this. I thought it was a lot of fun. Bodard's writing is fantastic at times. Other times I have a very hard time reading it. Sometimes I just bounce right off it. And I feel like you have to give your entire focus, your entire self to her works to get things out of it. And with this, right at the beginning, I was like, okay, I'm going to learn how these characters speak, what kind of world she's building here, and just like really give into it. And that helped me tremendously learn what was going on and understand the world building that Bodard created in this novella. I thought it was good. If this ends up winning the award, I wouldn't be upset. It was good. Maybe not my favorite of the novellas this year, but probably in the top few. And I think if you've never read anything by her, you should check this out. And she has so many other stories and things that if this doesn't work for you, there will be something that works for you when it comes to her. I have a thriller to review today. It is Sasha Rothschild, Blood Sugar. Sasha Rothschild is a screenwriter. She has been on shows like The Carrie Diaries, The Babysitter's Club, and a few others, Glow. She also writes for a lot of magazines and newspapers, but this is her first actual novel. And it's a taut, well-written, fast-paced thriller. It's about a woman who has committed murders, but the one that she is being tried for, she actually did not commit. And as she's growing up, as she's aging, you know, there are just these people in her life that just aren't that great, and she just wants to do away with them. But then her husband dies mysteriously, and then people start adding two to two together, and maybe something's going on because a lot of people die around this woman. It's a fun, really lighthearted thriller for the most part. It's very simplistic in both design and also in its presentation. There's no huge twist or really complex verbiage in this, or the writing makes you want to just keep reading. Short chapters. It is your typical mainstream thriller. And if you like that sort of thing, I think this one will have some buzz with it. I think a lot of people will probably end up reading it. And I enjoyed it. I gave it like a 3-star, like 3.5 around there. And it's good, but nothing special and nothing surprised me. And so the next book I read was The Echo Man by Sam Holland. This is another debut novel, and this is a mystery thriller that is very graphic. One of the most graphic books I've ever read. And I want to throw that out there because this had a lot of trigger warnings in it. So if you don't like pretty much anything, this is not for you. It was pretty dark. It was one of the darkest books I've ever read. So it follows a serial killer who is emulating and redoing the murders of past serial killers. And what I liked about this story is that the characters are all interwoven together. All of the detectives and the people involved in the investigations, they all have connections with each other that are messy, and some of them are drug addicts. There's a woman that can't feel pain. There is a wife in a family and a marriage that's not that great. Just a lot going on in this book. It's written really well. I was impressed by Sam Holland's writing. There were times where I was like, oh yeah, this is really good. This is like mounting up, and the tension, I could just feel it. Then there were other times where I was like, oh, well, that's basically a cliche. Now, if they're copying a bunch of serial killer murders, it kind of just ends up being cliche just because we've seen them all before. But it just gets dark. The reveal is fantastic. I highly recommend it. I thought it was a fantastic read. However, it did disturb my sleep a little bit, and I probably won't read something this dark in a long time. I have to be in the mood. I just can't read about serial killers and this type of stuff very often. It really bothers me. But it was good. I give it like a 3.5 or so. The thing that I didn't really care about is that it just wasn't strong at some points where I was like totally shocked and totally surprised, but I did enjoy my reading of it. So let's talk about a novella that I absolutely loved. It is nominated for the Hugos. It is A Psalm for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers. This is the first book in the Monk and Robot series. And why I liked this so much was because there was so much philosophy in this, and I had no clue that there would be so much philosophy. We have existentialism, we have stoicism, and I just really dug that. It's all about finding your purpose in life and just being okay with what you have and who you are, and not what you do and where you go, and all these really difficult questions. And it's all wrapped up in this story of a guy that just travels around and makes tea for people and allows them to talk to him. And he's like kind of like a therapist almost, but he gets tired of just traveling around and the monotony of it. So he goes off-road. And when he goes off-road, he meets a robot that lives in the wild. All of the machines, all of the robots all went into the wild once they became autonomous and decided to leave their human masters. And the robot wants to find out like what makes humans tick. What's going on with humans now? It's been a few years. What's up, humans? But it's this journey of the human figuring out what his purpose is and the robot learning everything about humans. And it was just a fantastic book. I would highly recommend it. It's probably my favorite of the novellas this year. It's really good. So it's Becky Chambers. Everyone has read it probably. A Psalm for the Wild Built. So that was my reading week. I read about 17 hours, which is decent, but still not up to like the 20, 21 hours that I would like to have. Reading the thrillers was a great break from the sci-fi and fantasy. I am now ready to dive headfirst back into sci-fi. I'm rereading A Memory Called Empire by Arkady Martine and also listening to it on audiobook, and it's fantastic. I'm picking up on all the little details that I missed the first time I read it. And then I want to read the sequel to that book, A Desolation Called Peace. So it's been 4 weeks since I stopped having internet. One big thing is that moving forward, I need to block Safari on my phone. I only have 1 gigabyte of data, but I'm finding that I'm using that pretty much within the first 2 to 2.5 weeks of my phone plan when it gets renewed. So I'm going to turn off the cellular to Safari because I keep wanting to check the stock market in the morning when I wake up, and also to check like ESPN to see who won the basketball games. And I just kind of want that tick to want to check things like that to go away, or at least wait until I'm around the library where I have Wi-Fi and then check then. So I'm going to be more mindful about that in June. And also throughout the month of May, I only lost about 3 pounds, which is better than nothing. But at the same time, I'm finding myself wanting to binge eat when I go over and visit my parents. They're going to be moving in about 2 weeks, so that opportunity will disappear. So I'm hoping to really cut down during the month of June and start to do things that benefit both my physical and my mental health. Thanks for watching. I will see you guys next time. Please like and comment and subscribe and share this video with your friends. I will talk to you guys next week.